everyone, in today's video I'm going to tell a story about Gorilla Tag. Yeah. So back in 2021, about the company were eventually losing our money. So one of the workers had an idea for the boss and made an actual working robot, but with no legs, but just 3 fingers, or even just, you know, just 4 fingers. And then the worker decided to tell the robot to move about showing its skills. So as it did for the wall. But then it literally also did the other side. But then it was on the edge, grabbed the edge, and then went on. But then it literally jumped down, showing about its strength. But it broke for a little, but it still has its own durability, as it also knows how to walk. But it's also really fast, meaning that it's a pretty good robot that he made. Just don't even know about Jacob, he's the villain. Because I don't know what other, so I just use him. So he was really impressed, but eventually the robot remembered something, what he already saw. So he just went there running, and then he jumped down. But luckily, there was a large cushion folded with a layer of leathers. And the worker wasn't worried about that because he prepared for the robot just to land. But then he went to check on the robot, but there is no problem at all. And the worker was surprised. It's because he knows that the robot would survive. And then the robot observes about, from the inside. And then it starts randomly jumping because it loves doing parkour. The fact that it even climbed the tallest tree with ease. But it would also have probably a bit of problem trying to land on the leaves or the large feather cushions folded by the leathers. So the robot had no other choice but to jump, but then it landed on the trees just a bit through. But then the trees shake a little. But seriously, bro still survived. And now the worker has made a huge invention about making a robot that has good abilities and knowing about observing for parkour, meaning that the company would make large amount of money instead of losing money. So the worker was extremely shocked, and then he went on the phone calling the boss and saying, "Hey dude, I just made a robot. It actually works. It's observing about its own parkour." And then the boss said, "Really? That's great. You have made something that would allow us to make money." And then the worker was really proud for himself about how smart he is, just to be Albert Einstein's younger brother. Like Albert Einstein's younger brother. So the boss closed the call, but eventually the robot was still here. Wasn't just abandoned, it was used for, just for, But then he went to the water that the workers have completely forgot that they placed water, that they could have just chosen an animal instead of making a robot, but the robot was observing the water about thinking if it's actually real nature, but about the borders around, so they cannot escape. Yeah. So, but it didn't like the water because it has known about its system. It's telling it not to touch the water. It's because it's not waterproof. roof at all. But then the robot has known about the walls, thinking of something, just such as like wall hop. Yeah, or Roblox thing, the hardest thing about parkour. And then the robot starts to doing it, but it also almost went high up as it almost reached to its creator. But then it fall to the cushion, and then looked at the creator, proudly thinking that he would impress the worker about his own creator. And then the creator looked at the robot directly where he is at, and he said, I am proud of myself about making a really good robot. And I'm proud that I made something that my own boss would be proud just so we can get a large amount of money.